الحمد لله الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا وتبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها قمرا وسراجا منيرا والصلوات والسلام على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. نشهد أنه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وتركهم على محجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. All praise and gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our Ramadan. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength and the wealth to make Hajj. Today we would like to discuss some of the affairs that because we left these affairs, it's bad news to the Muslims. Not adhering to these affairs, ayyuhan nas, brings bad news for the Muslims. And adhering to these instructions and injunctions, even our enemies will acknowledge. When we stick to the true Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the teachings in accordance to the Qur'an, even our enemies will love us. Our enemies will say, MashaAllah. Our enemies will say, good, this is great, this is great news. The companions radiallahu anhum, they were human beings like us. They never fell off the skies. Adam and Eve came out from Jannah by the permission of Rabbul Alameen. No one else came out with them. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. Then Rabbul Alameen multiplied from Adam and Eve multitude of men and women. Multitude of men and women. Rabbul Alameen says, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We have made them not only into a multitude of men and women, we have made them into nations and tribes. Why? To murder each other. No one will agree with this statement. Why? To slander and backbite? Of course not. لِتَعَارَفُوا. So that they become what? They knowing each other. And this is why the مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِ فِي تَوَاضِهِمْ وَتَرَاحُمِهِمْ وَتَعَاطُفِهِمْ. The Muslims, as it relates to the affection, mutual understanding and love, كَمَثَلِ الْجَسَدِ الْوَاحِدِ. It is like one building. إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوٌ تَدَاعَ لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالسَّهْرِ وَالْحُمَّى. If your arms are paining, it doesn't mean that you will be sleeping and leave your arms outside in the sofa. Maybe you can leave your wife outside in the sofa. Maybe you can leave the little newborn baby outside. But this is part of you. Are you meant to be leaving your right foot outside because it's paining? إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوٌ. When one part of you is feeling pain, تَدَاعَ لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالسَّهْرِ وَالْحُمَّى. The whole of you is in pains and agonies and you could not sleep. Fever, temperature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold fast to the rope of Rabbul Alameen. And the rope of Rabbul Alameen, you don't have to be singing some kind of mystical chant and then the rope is going to fall off from the heaven. The habl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means His book, the Qur'an and the Sunnah. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold fast to the rope of Rabbul Alameen and do not be divided. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. Remember the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً. Remember the favors of Rabbul Alameen when you were enemies. فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. And then what? After you were enemies and you were juhala and sufaha, ignorant, foolish people, then He made what? He connect your hearts. Wallahi, if it wasn't for Tawheed, none of you want to listen to me today. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. So when you hold fast to the rope and then you reflect upon this ni'mah and the bounty of Rabbul Alameen, then we become one brotherhood, one Muslim nation, one nation. If we don't help the nation, it means that we are not one nation. We're divided. وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ فَأَنْقَذَكُمْ مِنْهَا. You were on the brinks of the fire of hell. And then Rabbul Alameen is saying, we saved you with what? Islam. Beautiful ayat. Reflecting upon how Muslims should stick together. Wallahi, these ayat are magnificent. These are amazing ayat. If we can reflect upon these ayat, we will be treating our parents, father, mother, every one of them really good. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says in a hadith, in order for you to repay your father for what he has done for you, you need to find a slave, buy him, and free him. Can you find a slave? Do you know how much for a slave? The imam will be screaming his voice out and you will never even put a fiver, not even 50p. But let the end power come behind you. That's for your father. Buy a slave, purchase him, free him. Find a slave, purchase him, and free him. How much more do you have to do for your mother?